Hey, what is up, YouTube? Victor, the Rookie Card Specialist, coming at you with a special episode all about the National. You ready? Here we go. Yeah, I know I might be a little late with this video, but hear me out. My thing is that I was consuming a lot of content in the evening hours, and I wanted to come at you with completely different content. I wanted to talk about things, I wanted to show you things that no one else is talking about, no one else is mentioning. So I wanted to come with a complete 180 different angle at the National. I also wanted to share with you some of my experiences and some of my opinions on certain things. So let's get right into it. So I want to share a little bit with you about my accommodations. I stayed at a Hampton Inn in Westlake, and I made those reservations for that hotel room back in November of 2023. I was under the impression that that hotel that I reserved was close to the convention center. It was actually about a 20-minute drive away. Well, I had contemplated on driving to the National because I'm about 5 hours, 5.5 hours away. Well, I did not want to drive my car. My car is basically a work car. It has about 190,000 miles on it, but it runs like a champ. So I says, I'm not going to drive my car, but I'm going to take my wife's car. Well, my wife's car is a heck of a lot newer, but it's one of them things where I talked to her about it and she's like, wow, it's grocery week. I got this, that, and the other going on. Not a good time for you to take the car. And I says, you know what, don't worry about it. I'll just rent one. So I looked into renting a car, and that cost was going to be close to $600 for me to rent a car from Tuesday to Sunday. And I says, that is a bit pricey in my opinion. So I looked up a flight from Midway. I took a Southwest flight, which was basically $230 round trip, and it would have me in Cleveland in 1 hour. I says, okay, that's a little bit more logical. And I went ahead and decided to go that route because I received an email from the National saying that there were going to be shuttles available at these 5 hotels. And one of those 5 hotels happened to be the Hampton Inn. And I was like, oh, this is the cat's meow. This is perfect. I'll just fly into Cleveland. I'll take shuttles to and from the National, and then I'll Uber if I go somewhere else. And so I says, man, this is turning out to be absolutely perfect. Well, I get to the hotel room as planned, and it's one of them things where the Hampton Inn that I was staying at was not the one that offered shuttle service. It was the Hampton Inn that was closest to the convention center. Now I have a car situation. And so I said, hey, it is what it is. I'm just going to take Ubers back and forth. Well, the Ubers, I learned a lot about Uber in the past week. And I learned that, on Wednesday and Thursday, they were about $20, $30 trips. And then of course they hit you up with tip. So let's just say between $30 and $35 to go to and from. On the weekend now, come Friday, that rate jumps about 35 to 40%. So now I'm paying anywhere between $50 to $60 when you include tip for an Uber ride on the weekend. The food was great on those food trucks. I did 2 or 3 different food trucks, very well organized. But I think we blame a lot of people except the people, and the people that go to the National, I think, are to blame for a lot of things. For example, we have a row of food trucks lined up, and there's long lines for every food truck. It's one of them things where people would walk right through the lines, like large amounts of people So you always had to like let people through, and or they would walk behind you and hit you with their bag. And it's not so much the food truck. The food trucks were working, man. They were knocking people, serving people, getting them served and getting them gone. But it's just the people that you're with around you. Sometimes the decorum is not very polite, and it's one of them things where I just could not believe what was happening in the line. And we talk about, oh, why do we always tell people about wearing good shoes? Let me tell you something. There was a lot of people there wearing sandals and flip-flops. I'm going to tell you something else. There's a lot of people that I saw that were limping. So our message about good shoes is not getting out to the masses, friends. Then we have a mass amounts of humanity just everywhere. And then we have folks, well-intentioned, good-hearted people. I'm not making fun of them or anything, but they decide to bring their children that are like in strollers, and they walk around with these big humongous strollers, and there is just gridlock all around them. I don't know how they can stay so patient under that much pressure. And it was one of them things where my heart went out to them. And it's one of them things that at the same time I'm thinking, man, you just shot yourself in the foot by coming to this thing with this little child in the stroller. Just again, my point is that it's not so much the deficiencies of the national and the setup, it's the deficiencies of just people being people. You know what I mean? But also, cutting in lines, man. I had a couple of instances, and this was like with boomers. I'm in line to go to the bathroom, and I have like these guys coming in and like squeezing, trying to like cut in front of me. And I'm like, So I'm like, moving around a little bit, trying to like inch my way back into my spot, kind of like stand my ground type of thing. And they eventually got the hint, but this like, they were literally trying to force their way in front of me. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. But I ended up learning a couple of hacks about the bathroom. The bathroom situation was not as bad as it seemed. The line was moving quickly. And I will say this about the staff at the convention center. I didn't see a single person that was a part of staff that was rude. They were hardworking. They actually had an attendant in the bathroom the entire time. From beginning to end, there was an attendant in that bathroom sweeping up the floors, making sure the water was flowing good, making sure the paper towels dispensers were full, and they were keeping the place clean, keeping the place moving. And I think that's kudos. Yes, there was garbage cans that were full, but there was also many garbage cans that were empty because they had an army of people emptying garbage cans. I even at one point heard over like a radio directives being given to the garbage staff, and they would, I would hear them say, "Hey, garbage cans overflowing on area D," and somebody else would chime in, "I'm on my way." And so this thing was running like a well-oiled machine. I have zero complaints. I stopped the few people that were on staff to ask them questions. They were extremely helpful at guiding me in the right direction. And, it's one of them things where, yes, there's an overflowing garbage can, but there's also thousands upon thousands of people in the building. And so I think it's like, come on, man. Overall, the garbage was picked up. They were on it. And it was impressive. My game plan for cards as I went, first of all, my game plan for the National was to promote my book. I wanted to have stacks and stacks of books on me, but I could not get the books in time from Amazon. And it's one of them things where I've shared that part of the story in a past video, but I will say that was my main focus. And I ended up going with I did a couple of shows with Samuel Evans, who was actually one of the content creators who was hosting on the live national radio station. I did 2 episodes with him. I did an episode with Jeremy Lee. I did a hobby hotline on the main stage. We had Hobby News Daily on the main stage. Every single person that recognized me or introduced themselves to me, I was talking about the book, or they would ask me about the book, and I would proceed to tell them about the book. And I was just pushing this book thing because that was my number one directive. It's like sports cards actually became secondary at the National. And that's okay because I did not have a lot of money to begin with. A lot of my discretionary income was used up with accommodations to get to the National and the cost of printing the book. And so all of that, I actually came home with money. That's how focused I was on this book thing. But I did end up picking up a few things that I will show you here in just a moment. Hey guys, so real quick, allow me to do a little plug. I recently wrote this book, True Rookie Cards, a systematic approach that filters through the fluff so you'll know which rookie cards to get. And I wanted you guys to know a couple of things. Number one, it is available on Amazon right now. In the show notes of this video, you can find the Amazon link. Now, I know a lot of you have been contacting me because you want to buy direct from me. That way I can autograph it. That option is going to be available in about 2 more weeks. Here's what I'm wanting you to know about the book. Now, before I wrote this book, I did a lot of market research, and what they were teaching me is to know your audience. And as I dug a little deeper into that, I ended up finding out that most men don't like to read. It's just not, I don't want to say all men because that's not true, but most men don't enjoy reading. And for that reason, I figured, why would I write a book that's 200-300 pages long when my audience, the majority of my audience, doesn't care about reading so much? So I purposely, by design, made this book less than 100 pages. And that was the goal. It's a very simple read that you should be able to read this book fairly easily, fairly quickly. And I also wrote it in a language like I'm talking to you now. I found no reason to quote medical journals or, quote university surveys or use big fancy wording or none of that. Listen, I wrote this book. It's an intriguing book. It's short, but impactful. From the feedback that I have been getting and some of the reviews that I have been getting, it's a book that is written in a way that it's hard to put down. The story of the rookie card is an amazing story, and you're going to find it very entertaining, to say the least. So be sure to pick up your copy of True Rookie Cards and help support me and this channel. As always, thank you for your time. Now let's get back to the video. But my game plan was the book, but also I started to I wanted to focus on my set registries because I feel like I've been neglecting my set registries quite a bit this year. And I started looking through my spreadsheet, and I'm glad that I took my spreadsheet because the internet was a little spotty. So it was working, but sometimes it would take like 15 or 30 seconds for it to load. But I did have my spreadsheet on my phone. I went ahead, updated the prices of it the night before, so I had fresh comps, and I basically recorded on my spreadsheet the last 2 comps. And so I had a good idea of the range. And when I was looking at my set registries, especially the post-war Hall of Fame, that was the one that I really wanted to focus on because that one has been neglected for almost 3 years now, and I really need to hit this one again. And I looked at my set registry for that one. I was really lacking in rookie cards from the 1950s and 1960s. And so that was my laser focus for the set registry. There's a lot of things I did not want to like laser in on one specific card like I have in the past. I wanted to do something completely different. I didn't want that pressure like I did in Atlantic City, where I was only looking for the 56 Roberto Clemente. That's all I was looking for. And I didn't want to do that again. I put a lot of undue pressure on myself with that strategy. And I said, I just want to get what catches my eye. I just want to, whatever pops at me, that's what I want to go for. And that's the strategy I went with. I kind of knew what I needed in the 50s and 60s. If something grabbed me within my price range, I went ahead and got it. But also at the same time, I started picking up the rookie cards of the players that kind of recently got in, like last year, Jim Cott and who's a couple other ones. But anyways, I wanted to get, because I kind of like neglected those. Those are like most recent Hall of Famers that I need to fill those gaps, and they're not that expensive. So it was a perfect strategy because of cost and because of my needs for the set registry. It just worked out perfectly. And then there was some items that I just picked up spur of the moment because that's what it just grabbed my attention, right? Dollar boxes was another part of my strategy. However, when I got to the show floor, the dollar boxes just was not cutting it for me. I was a little discouraged because I did not want to go on an airplane with a box. I was already packed to the gill. I did not want to take, any more cards than I actually needed. And as I was looking at the dollar boxes, so much of it was, Prism Mosaic for the last couple of years. It was just so much ultra modern in those dollar boxes that I forgot about the dollar boxes, and I says, nah, I'm not gonna do that. But I did end up, I got a little bit of stuff from the dollar boxes, but not as much as I was expecting. I was expecting to find a whole bunch, and I did not. As far as accommodations for next year, I went ahead on, I believe it was July 30th, a day or two ago. I went ahead and tried to make accommodations for a hotel room. They were already, the ones that are nearest the convention center in Chicago are booked already, but I was able to find some through Expedia, and I was able to find a room about a mile up the road, right there on North River Road, which is the same road that the convention center is on. It's a Hyatt. I believe it's a Hyatt or maybe a Hilton. That's maybe a mile down the road. So I just went ahead and reserved that room just in case, and just wanting to get ready and prepared for the upcoming year. And some of you might be saying, why are you getting a room? I thought you lived in Indiana. I do. However, in good traffic, meaning no traffic, it's about a 50 to 60 minute drive for me to get to the convention center. However, because of the convention center and because of the construction that happens every summer on the Borman Expressway, that 50-minute trip turns into an hour and a half. And I am no longer in the mood to drive an hour and a half going in and an hour and a half going back home and doing that every single night. So I stopped doing that a couple years ago. Last year was the first time that I actually just rented a hotel near the convention center, and I had a wonderful time. That is the way to go. So even though I live an hour and a half away, I find it most convenient to just go ahead and get a room there. So with that said, let me go ahead, flip the camera around. Let me show you guys what I got. Okay, so first order of business, I want to start with some dollar box pickups. I'm not going to go through all of them. I do want to show you a picture of them because this guy had two boxes there. But what caught my attention was that the top loaders were very yellowed, as you can see here on a lot of them. And I was talking to the guy. He only had two boxes out, and he says, this isn't really my thing. I just threw them out there because I came across them as I was loading up. I'm letting them go at 50 cents a piece. Help yourself. And as I started going through them, I was like, oh, okay, this can be some really good inventory for my eBay store. So I went ahead and I thought I found myself a big honey hole, but it ended up being just a little honey hole, but that's okay. Next, for my pickups, again, I just, whatever struck my fancy, right? Whatever just popped out at me is what I got. No laser focus game plan. I did leave the prices on them. I did not pay sticker price for them, but were priced fairly. They were priced at comp to begin with, and the dealers were working with you. They were working with me anyways. So this is 2020 Court Kings of Anthony Edwards, true rookie card of Anthony Edwards. He has 4 cards in the base set, but this is the first card featured in the base set. So according to my system, this gets the true rookie card identifier. Anthony Edwards is a gentleman that I do want to collect, as well as Victor Wembanyama. I'll be honest with you folks, there was not a lot of Victor Wemby cards there. I found a lot of color. I found a lot of generic little inserts that were graded, but you know what I did not see a lot of? Base rookie cards. So I don't know where those things were at, but they were not in Cleveland. Next up is the 1974 Topps Dave Winfield rookie for the post-war Hall of Fame set. A little bit centered left to, a little bit off centered left to right, but I'm going to tell you the rest of this card. Oh my goodness. It's a beauty. Grew up watching Dave Winfield play for a lot of years. Always enjoyed his game. Next up, Bert Blyleven. And actually, these 2 cards I purchased off of Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, investor, dealer. I was dealing more with the Texas Snowman because Chris was off taking care of other customers. So I struck this deal with the Texas Snowman. Ended up getting this one. I challenged him on this one because this one was like over comps, and his thing was the condition of it, the eye appeal, the centering, the everything. The eye appeal is there. I mean, it's a 7, but it looks higher than a 7. But he ended up giving me a great price and a great deal for these 2 cards. So was happy with that. Ended up picking this 1953 Bowman Color Mini Minoso. The condition of it, the color of it, the centering on it, everything just really looked fantastic on this card. He had it for $150. I believe I got it for $140. I believe I paid from 707 Sports Cards, but this thing is a beauty. I'll be honest with you, I did not do my homework on this one, and I thought this was the one that was for the set registry, but it is not. This is actually second year Mini Minoso. His 52 Topps is the one that's included in the PSA set registry. So, but that's okay. Still a beautiful card to have, man. I'm happy to have it. Got a Luis Aparicio rookie for the set registry. Looks a lot nicer than a 2. I mean, especially when you see this thing in person, it's like, man, that's a nice looking 2. Happy about that one. That was a part of a bundle deal with this one. The Jim Cott. Jim was inducted last year. Never made it a priority to pick him up. Again, I was just filling in those small holes for the set registry. So that was my reasoning behind it all. Pretty nice looking 6 here. And I picked up this Deion Sanders minor league card, 89 best Albany Yankees. I did a video on Deion Sanders rookie cards, and I had a blast making that video. And this was one of the cards that was on there. Really enjoyed that one. I bought a couple of raw sets when I made that video. I bought a couple of these complete sets, and they came back. They were in horrible condition because that is the first card in the set, so it sits at the very top, and it is always very damaged. So that's a bummer. I picked up this Lee Smith. I believe this one is in the top 100 of the 80s, I believe it is. But really, I don't see these very often. It's actually the error. This Cubs logo is upside down. Kind of reads a little funky there. But I don't see these very often. So it just grabbed my attention and I got it. That was kind of my game plan. Just, what do they call that? Freestyle, baby. And the last card I got, which is a pretty cool card, I'm going to call it a first card because it's the first card of Mr. Rogers. Who does not love Mr. Rogers? Again, just a spur of the moment purchase, something that I saw that just popped at me and grabbed my attention. This is actually considered, a lot of people call non-sport rookie cards, but I am looking into that because I get asked so many questions about non-sport cards. And it's like, I need to do a little bit of research on that, at least to have my own understanding of what actually constitutes a rookie card for non-sport. I lean more towards calling it a first card because to me a rookie card leans more towards an athlete, leans more towards proper licensing and that sort of thing. And I don't think these should be called rookie cards, but I think first card. I am going to have some guests on the channel that deal with non-sport that can we're just going to sit down and talk about it. That's all. And I've already made game plans with a bunch of folks on doing that. So looking forward to that upcoming episode. So that's going to be all for the pickups, folks. Okay, guys, so that's going to do it for this video. I do have one more video coming out that pertains to the National. On this video, I just wanted to talk about accommodations and pickups. The next video is going to talk about special events and some really cool things that I noticed on the technology side. So stay tuned for that. We're going to end it like we always do. You know what I always say. Remember, my friends, that not all rookie cards are created equal.
The true Jordan rookie from 1985.
Bullshit.
Until next time, buenos nachos, muchachos.